Planning a Disney trip for my family was the perfect excuse to test something that I teach businesses every day: how to build fast, flexible solutions in Smartsheet that allow you to track spending, surface insights, and keep you ahead of budget. In just under 30 minutes, I built a simple system that helped us save over $1,250 on our trip. There was no stress, we didn't need multiple apps, and there was no guesswork involved. And if this works for a holiday, imagine what it could do for your team's project spend. Hi, I'm Levon, and with over 5 years experience at Smartsheet, designing solutions and training thousands of customers, I started KnowMySheet.com to help people get more out of Smartsheet, whether it's for business or for occasional life projects. Follow along with me as we build this quick solution together. If you're new to Smartsheet, you can use the link in the description to start your 30-day trial. You'll also find a link to download a worksheet that accompanies this video. So, it was coming up to August 2024 and we had booked our flights, accommodation and park tickets to Florida. We'd saved up to £4,500 spending money for our 11-day trip for the 4 of us. Along with all the basics like groceries and meals, we wanted to treat the kids to as many experiences, souvenirs and meals out that we could afford, and maybe the occasional churro. So my assignment was clear. I needed to put together a solution that was easy to build, like I said, less than 30 minutes, easy and fast to use so that my wife or I could quickly submit expenses while waiting in line, in a taxi or on the go. And we wanted it to instantly convert our spend from dollars to pounds. Finally, we wanted to have some real-time tracking of our daily spend and remaining budget so we could plan ahead without stressing. Here's what I built. A simple budget sheet where we logged each expense, the name, the amount in dollars, and a converted estimate into pounds. We submitted every transaction using a mobile-friendly form so my wife and I could log costs on the go. Once submitted, the form would navigate us to a dashboard which showed us our running total, while a report grouped and summed up our daily spend. That let us spot any overspend and course correct quickly for the next day. Are you ready? Well, let's build this. So I'm logged into Smartsheet in a browser, and from that home page we can start a new project, program or process. Let's select a workspace, and in this newly created sheet, let's click on that sheet name and rename it. I'm calling mine Travel Budget Tracker. Also a good time to name the workspace to something, so let's call that Travel Budget. And here's our primary column. We want to change that name to something like Expenses or Expense. I'm resizing it, and now on column 2, let's call this one Dollar Amount. I'm leaving it as a text number type, and I'm going to format that as US dollars. Resize it, and now for our next one. Column 3 I'm going to rename to Estimated Pounds. Obviously you can use your own currency. And let's format that to GB Pound, United Kingdom Pound, or whatever currency you want to use for yourself. Now this column 4, I'm going to make that into a created date. This is a system generated column, and that's going to capture the date that any row in this sheet is created. Now I'm going to insert a column to the left of that column, and I'm going to call this date column, and we're going to format that as a date. Now there's good reason to have this extra date column. The reason being that that created column will capture the date and also the time. Now we want to just have a column that shows us just the date, because later on we want to be able to group all of our spending into particular days. So you'll see that in a few minutes. All right, next up, I like to put in a couple of just test rows of data in here, because we want to see how this is going to look before we really get into using this solution. So I'm going to put some sample rows, some sample dollar amounts, and now we want to actually put in a formula in the estimated pound column here. So here I want to put in a formula that's going to calculate the dollar amount into my local currency, which is pounds. So I'm going to type equals, and then I can click on the dollar amount column in that row. And essentially we want to multiply it by whatever the exchange rate is at the time for your currency. So in my case, this was last year, so it was 0.77 pence. And there we go. I can see that at that time, $50 translated to about £38.50. Now it's good practice. In fact, in this case, we really should do it. We're going to right click on that formula in the cell and choose convert to a column formula. So all new rows in this column, all new cells in this column will end up having that same formula applied. Now in the date column, this is where we're going to extract the date portion from the created column. There is actually a function called date only. As you can see, it's used in a date column to extract the date portion of a date time value. So I'm going to type equals date only, select that, and then click on the cell to the right, and then I can press enter. And again, let's make that into a column formula. Now in my case, you can see that's UK date format. You can actually select the column and you can choose whatever date format reads best, especially if you're working with teams in different countries. All right. So at this point, you might notice that I've actually been working in the grid view and I haven't been using the new table view. The reason for that, there is a couple of features that are still, rolling out into table view. And one of the things that currently isn't available is the sheet summary. And sheet summary is going to be really useful for us here because we can do some calculations in that sheet summary that's going to help us keep a running total of things outside of the main columns and rows of our sheet. So I'm clicking on that sheet summary button and I want to add a new field. Let's add one here that's called budget, and let's leave it as text number. So here we're going to put the actual amount of budget we have to spend. I'm going to make it a currency and I want that to be in UK pounds. And then I want to insert a new one below, a new field. Here let's call this one spent so far, and again text number, and let's put in a formula into this one. So in this field we want to type equals, and then we want to sum up. So I'm going to type sum, and then we're going to sum up anything in the estimated column. So type estimated pounds colon estimated pounds in those square brackets, and then you'll see that selects the whole column. And then once you've got that, you can press enter, and you can see now we've got this calculation which is going to keep updating the total amount that we've spent as we add more rows into this sheet. Again, format that into pounds or whatever currency you're using in your example. And let's add one more field below. This time we're going to call this budget remaining. And essentially here we're going to calculate the budget number minus spent so far. And I do that just by clicking and then press enter. Once again, format that to your currency. And there we go. Now we have 3 key bits of information. Later on we can add these to our a dashboard that we're going to create, so we can always have a running total displayed on a dashboard, as well as in this sheet summary of how much our total budget was, how much we've spent to date, and how much we have remaining. So next up we want to think about building this form. I'm going to click Forms and Create Form, and you'll see that Smartsheet has taken all of the fields that are available to be added to the form and has automatically added. So we can see here the columns expense and dollar amount have been added to our form. Let's click on the travel budget tracker field at the top, which is the title, and let's give that a more meaningful name for us. In our case, I just we can type holiday budget. Notice you can also change the logo at the top of your form if you want to, and change the colors of your form. Now in settings, and I'm going to choose how the form is going to look. So essentially we want to decide whether it's going to be vertical, plane, or side by side. I'm going to go with side by side. I'm going to disable the Smartsheet branding just so it doesn't take up so much space on the form vertically. And at the bottom, I don't want to email myself copies of anything I submit because I'm going to be looking at it anyway, so I can disable that. Now notice here there's a form submission section and it says what should happen after a form is submitted. We're going to come back and change this later. At the moment it says display this confirmation message. Later on we can come back and we can put in a URL of our dashboard that we're going to build so that whenever someone submits this form, it's going to take them straight to the dashboard. But for now, let's click save. And reasonably simple form, but let's leave it as it is for now. And let's go and build a report now. So I'm clicking on add to workspace, added a report. And here we're going to go and find our travel budget tracker sheet. So essentially what we're going to do with this report is we're going to filter out the key information that we want from it. And then we want to use this report to then create some groups. We want to group things by day. Remember we did that date only formula. And we're also going to then summarize that data because we want to run some subtotals for each of our days so we can see day by day exactly how much we're spending. All right, so in the sheet name, we've selected our sheet and now we're choosing our columns. Let's select date and dollar amount, estimated pounds, and we can remove the sheet name column. We don't necessarily need that, just to make it a little tidier. Now we're not going to filter anything because we want every row to come into this report. Just renaming the primary column there to expense, it's optional. And then let's resize the columns just so that we can get a decent looking sized report. We're probably going to put this on a dashboard as well so we can get our formatting right. All right, let's group and click on group and then choose to group by date. We can sort by newest to oldest so we can see our latest submissions at the top. And let's click OK. And so far we've only got these two examples for where I've recorded this. Next up we want to summarize. And we're going to choose which columns we want to summarize. So in this case, let's go with dollar amount and let's choose the sum option. Add another column and let's do the same for estimated pounds. And then let's sum that and let's click OK. All right. Again, let's give this report a decent sounding name. So holiday budget report works well. And we're now ready to build our dashboard. So I'm going to click add to workspace and dashboard and let's get started. So first off, we're going to add some of those metrics that we put into the sheet summary. Do you remember those running totals? So we're going to go and add a metric and let's choose our travel budget tracker sheet. So notice here we want to select the data to come from the sheet summary data and we can select all those three items that are in there. And there we go. I'm just going to play around with the formatting. You can format this however you like. I'm just going to go ahead and rename the title, and I'm probably going to be moving things around a little bit, but this is just let's get things onto our dashboard first and then we can kind of worry about formatting as we go. There we go. Obviously a lot more formatting options you can do on this metric widget, but I'm keeping this simple for now. Okay, next up we want to copy the link from that form. You'll see I just copied that on the left because we want to embed the form onto this dashboard. So I'm clicking plus, I'm adding a web content widget, and I'm going to paste that URL into that box there. Now we can remove the title. We don't need that because remember we've got that nice little title in the form, and I'm just going to put that and move things around a little bit. And there you go, a nice simple quick form that we can use. Alright, just saving to see how it looks. Perfect. Now let's go back and edit, and let's now add a shortcut widget. So there's some useful sheets and other assets that we might want to have quick access to. So I'm putting some links here to the workspace, to the budget tracker sheet, and we can add some other things, you know, just for some fun. Let's add a link to a website I found really useful when planning our holiday. It's called mousehacking.com. Not sponsored, but just thought I'd add it here. Really useful to give you like tips and tricks on planning your trip and saving money. Just going to rename that widget to links, and let's just resize that. All right. So I like to hit save every now and then just to see how it looks. So far so good. Let's go back into edit. Let's find that report now. The report that we built, so I'm going to add that as a report widget, and you'll see how that gets added. I'm not really going to need to play around with many of the settings, but I'll just standardize the formatting. I'll resize it a little bit just to make it fit nicely, and again we can start to move things around and resize things as we go. I'll probably be accessing this dashboard mostly from the app, so it doesn't hugely matter how I format it, because the app, the mobile app will kind of move things and resize things in order to fit on your phone or tablet. So next up, I want to actually embed a web content widget from Google Maps of the Walt Disney Resort area. So going to Google Maps and finding the area you want to embed, and you can find the embed link and copy the HTML there. Once that's copied, go back in, paste it into the web content widget, and you'll see that that gives you a view directly in the dashboard. Again, let's just hide that title and resize the map. So what's nice here is on a desktop you can just scroll around if you're viewing the dashboard, and it gives you a nice map to look at if you're on a computer. Finally, I'm going to rename the dashboard. Let's call it Holiday Dashboard. And I'm going to copy that URL to the dashboard. Do you remember we had that form that we just discussed earlier? Let's go back and edit that form now that we've copied the URL. Let's go to settings and decide what happens when we submit this form. There you go, send user to a link, paste in that link and hit save. So now we're ready to test it. Let's open our form and we'll put in an example expense. Let's put churro, dollar amount that we spent. Well, maybe soon, but no, let's just put in $10 for now. And there we go. See how it's taken us now to the dashboard. And there we go. So I built that in under 20 minutes. That was, a little bit speeded up in terms of the sequence, but when I actually did this for real, it was about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so this was for a holiday, but the principle applies everywhere. In under 30 minutes, I created a working, trackable solution. No coding, no IT requests. Now imagine what that same approach could do for your team's project spend, travel budgets, event planning, or department tracking. Want to take it further? You can improve upon this by adding expense categories like travel, meals or supplies, set up alerts to automatically notify you when you're nearing your daily budget, or generate AI-powered charts for visual insights. There's a lot of power in building lean, practical tools like this fast. Remember, you can start your free Smartsheet trial using the link in the description, or contact me at knowmysheet.com if you'd like to set up a demo or need a guiding hand building your own solutions better. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.